I'm saying losing weight is difficult or near impossible when you eat processed foods and oil. That when you eat the anti-cancer foods, they have anti-angiogenic properties. They block the storage of fat because anti-angiogenic means the fat cells can't get an adequate blood supply to fuel their growth. And these anti-angiogenic foods are the foods that have the most scientific relationship with lower rates of cancer and longer life. And I use that acronym GBOMBS, GBOMBS, so people can remember and to eat these foods on a regular basis and eat a large part of your diet. A lot of green vegetables, right? Greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds, right? And that includes both cooked and raw greens. You have that big salad for lunch, and you have a big portion of cooked mixed vegetables at dinner with cooked greens in there, like broccoli and cabbage and snow pea pods and zucchini and string beans and asparagus and all these green vegetables that you're eating conservatively cooked or blanched or steamed or woked or in casseroles or in soups or in stews or in chilies. And so you're eating greens and beans and onions, both cooked and raw, and mushrooms mostly cooked, but different types of mushrooms, and berries and other low sugar fruits, and seeds, particularly the flax seeds, the chia seeds, the hemp seeds, sesame seeds. These seeds all have and nuts, seeds and nuts. But making sure you're consuming seeds, especially the seeds that have the most highest omega-3, and the nut that has the highest omega-3 is walnuts. So we're trying to get a good amount of our nut intake, at least a third to a half, from hemp seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. So when I have a recipe that calls for, let's say, cashew nuts, I'll take out half the cashews out of the recipes and substitute half hemp seeds in there to balance the ratio of 6-3 in there. Or I'll take the pistachio crusted tempeh or the macadamia nut ice cream. I'll take whatever it is. I'll take half the nut out there and put half of the hemp seed in so I have some more a good omega-3 balance. So we're talking here about this idea that it's not just calories in and calories out. It's what you're eating enables you to lose weight with the same amount of calories. So here's a study that we published back in 2010, where over more than 700 people demonstrated the perception of hunger changed when they improved their diet to this Nutritarian program that was high in nutrients. They lost their addictive drive to overeat, and they appreciated the taste of the food, but it took them time to change their taste muscle and taste preferences. It's funny because when people come to me with a medical problem and overweight, and they want to get rid of their high blood pressure or their heart disease or diabetes or asthma, whatever it is, I say to them, you're not here just to lose some weight. You're here to really totally get well and to maximize your health, right? So do you want to get rid of the asthma completely, get rid of the high blood pressure totally and become non-diabetic, or you're just looking to get some guidance? Or, they say, no, I want to do it all the way. I want to really get totally well. Okay, well, then I say, if you want to get totally well, then don't decide what you're going to eat. And don't choose what you like to eat. And don't choose what you think you should eat, you thought you should eat, what you think you should. In other words, those decisions, what you made, what you chose to eat, what you thought you should eat, got you into this place to begin with. So now I'm going to make those decisions for you. And I want you to eat what I tell you to eat at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, whether you like it or not. And then in a month from now or 6 weeks from now, when you look at the results, we'll see that at the scientific experiment, how it worked, how much weight you lost, how much your blood pressure dropped, how much your asthma got better, how much your body pain. We'll be able to actually see if this program works or not if you do it 100%. So you can't dabble in doing it halfway. You've got to do it 100% to see the scientific effects of this. But I promise you that if you stay with this long enough, your taste preferences and your taste muscle will change. You'll learn the recipes and you will find you prefer to eat this way. And that's what this study showed. It showed that people after 6 months preferred the flavor and taste of healthier eating compared to their old diet. But that occurred over a period of many months. And when people make this change initially from a standard diet to a diet with so much vegetables, they don't feel better the first week. They could even feel worse the first week. They feel more shaky and more fatigued because they're going through more withdrawal. Here's just a little joke. Some of these cartoons I took from my book and put it in this slideshow from my book, Fast Food Genocide, because a lot of the information in this presentation is from the book, Fast Food Genocide, that shows about, of course, the danger to the individual and to society and to future generations of eating processed foods and fast foods and how it's destroying human potential. But the question is, we have a nation of food addicts. And are you a food addict? Do you crash diet or fast to compensate for overeating or binging? In spite of crash dieting and fasting or juice fasting or intermittent fasting, you're still overweight, right? Your body fat's, do you eat white flour and baked goods? If you are, then I consider you in fried foods or fast foods and snack foods. Then you're an addict, because those things are not foods, they're drugs, because they're not supplying the body with nourishment. They're just aging you. So you're practicing self-destructive behavior. Are you eating in your best interest, or are you eating in the best interest of your doctor so you get sicker? If you're eating to commit suicide with food, then you're an addict. So you shouldn't. So in other words, most people they're food addicts. Do you overeat frequently? Are you overweight? Do you spend time thinking about food? Do you experience cravings to eat or drink? Do you think that you have to eat to keep your energy up? Do you have to eat before you go for the exercise to the gym? Do you think you have to eat for energy? If you think you have to eat for energy, you're an addict. Because if you're healthy, you don't have to eat for energy. You have energy whether you eat or you don't eat. You always have great energy. You eat because you get hungry. You don't eat because you have the need, because you feel fatigued. This concept of fatigue as a result of not eating or lower blood sugar is all based on body being toxic and not being healthy. You got enough fat on your body for energy. You don't have to eat food for energy. Just burn the fat for energy. The reason you can't burn the fat for energy and you feel fatigued is because your body is eating healthy. So if you're continuing to eat foods that are damaging your health, like everybody else in the modern Western world, then you're because most people are food addicts, right? Food addiction is ubiquitous, and it's the leading cause of death in the modern world, right? Because most people, because obviously we're eating ourselves to death. Heart attacks don't ever have to happen, and strokes, they're the result of food addiction. Most cancers are not the result of people smoking cigarettes or sucking up burned wood or fireplaces. It's mostly due to overeating and eating the wrong food. Every single disease you can mention is linked to, obviously, what you put in your mouth, and every disease is worsening. And you say these diseases are mostly genetic, but no, they're not mostly genetic, because scientists call this gene silencing, that your genes don't determine what you eat. What you eat determines your genes. They know these new tests. We're going to test your DNA and tell you the right diet for you, right? There's no such thing as testing your DNA for the right diet for you. That's just another way to trick people or scam people to a degree, because your DNA changes in response to what you eat. So in other words, if you have the BRCA1 or GSDP1 gene that increases your risk of breast cancer, those genes are silenced by the high consumption of green, cruciferous vegetable and healthy eating behaviors. So the gene expression and the repair of genes and the methylation defects and the broken cross-links and all damage to your DNA, the structure and function of your DNA is determined by what you eat, not the other way around. So I know people are trying to say, oh, you can be healthy and overweight at the same time, but no, you can't be. There's no such thing as a healthy overweight person. If they were eating healthfully, if they're eating the right amount of food and the right calories for that individual need, they wouldn't be overweight. The fact that they're overweight showing that they're consuming not only more calories than they need, creating overweight, but the extra calories that they consume to become overweight, a lot of those calories went to aging them prematurely and speeding up their metabolism, aging their stem cells and aging their telomeres, and creating more damage to their immune system. Abstinence from the addictive substance in conjunction with nutritional excellence is the only way to beat an addiction. So it takes some degree of control, because the addictions don't want to die on their own, because your subconscious mind, your primitive brain, is there to protect you, protect the addiction, not to protect you. In other words, a person who's an addict, their brain is in conflict. The cerebral brain, the frontal cortex, is in conflict with the primitive brain. They call it cognitive dissonance, because there's a conflict going on. You want to eat that ice cream, you want to eat that pizza, you want to go out for the French fries, but you know you're overweight and you're hurting yourself. And you'll take drugs for diabetes or drugs to lower your blood pressure, or drugs to lower your cholesterol, but you're still eating meats and fried foods and overeating because you can't control yourself. The subconscious mind can't stand the change. It's anxiety provoking. And the emotionally makes, so what I'm saying right now, Your primitive brain is not your friend. It's your enemy. Part of your body is your enemy. And the brain will come up with excuses. Oh, I can't eat this way. That's too healthy. And I'm not going to eat like that. I don't want to eat different from other people. Shoot me right now. I'd rather be dead if I had to eat that way. I'd rather die young than have to live on carrot sticks and celery, right? Isn't the brain is always coming up with a reason why they can't even consider eating healthfully? They won't even consider it because they are so much attracted to the way they're eating and they think they can't. It's not living if they don't eat those foods. I can't lose weight no matter what I do anyway. My family won't eat them. I have a job. I travel. And I'm saying excuse is no excuse. The brain wants to come up with an excuse, the primitive brain. It's not in your behalf. It's not. A smoker who doesn't want to quit, an alcoholic who doesn't want to quit, an overweight person who doesn't want to quit, they're eating their foods and making them overweight. They're not in their best, they're not behaving in their best interest. I'm saying enforced abstinence takes initiative. It takes a start. And the place to start is putting structure around you to make you start to almost an enforced way of abstaining from dangerous substances. Tell everybody, I'm no longer smoking. I'm no longer drinking alcohol. I want you to help. I'm no longer eating fast food and processed foods. I'm no longer self-destructing, and I don't care what you do, but I'm doing this, and please support me. And the more you announce that to the world and everybody you're in contact with, it starts to make a commitment, a bond. You have to pledge and a bond to be on a high nutrient diet if you're going to have any hope of getting rid of addictive behaviors. A Nutritarian diet is vegetable-based with lots of vegetables in it. We're trying to flood the body with nutrients, lots of fruits and beans and seeds and nuts. We're not eating thimble-sized portions of food. We're eating the right amount of calories because now we can, right? We're really using no oils or little oil, but if you're an addict, a little alcohol on the weekend or a little smoking or a little oil can be a trigger for you, because you've built up this illicit love affair with dangerous food, and it's better for you to totally abstain. I'm saying right now, a person who's not an addict, they can have something that's not so healthy, like a little oil in their food or an animal product once or twice a month. They're not going to want to overeat them or eat them again. But a person who's an addict and the brain is already biologically changed to crave and desire and can't control its eating behavior, then dabbling, baby stepping your way, eating 90% correctly, a little bit of oil, a little bit of sweetener, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of milk syrup, a little bit of salt, a little bit of animal products. You keep driving yourself into behaviors that will stimulate your brain centers that are still somewhat impaired, and it makes it difficult for you to not want those foods. So I'm saying it keeps you in chronic stress when you're making decisions. Should I eat healthy food? Should I have a salad and a bowl of vegetable bean soup, a mixed vegetable wok, and a nice salsa dip or hummus dip? Or should I eat a healthy meal, or should I eat an unhealthy meal? Or should I just have, should I just have a little bit of unhealthy food? They're always making decisions. And I'm saying that that's the formula for most people don't succeed that way. Because if they make the firm commitment to just eat the healthy food, they eventually stop craving the unhealthy foods. If you never take them totally away, you never stop craving them. When you keep drinking alcohol and smoking and eating low nutrient foods, it maintains your desire for them, and your taste buds never change all the way to prefer to enjoy the subtle flavors of natural foods better. So I'm saying that when you first start out on this program, you're a white belt. This program means a diet that's a healthy diet with the most potential to extend human lifespan. And I'm saying something so ridiculous here. Let me say this stupid sentence, okay? A diet that's healthier is healthier than one that's less healthy. Isn't that a ridiculous sentence? I'll say it again. A diet that's healthier is healthier than one that's less healthy. Everybody's trying to convince you that a diet that's not that healthy is just as healthy as one that's healthier, which is not true. I'm saying if we can scientifically design a dietary portfolio that maximizes human lifespan, then we have better outcomes for weight loss, for disease reversal, for prevention of cancer, for lifespan enhancement when you have cancer. In other words, the diet becomes more therapeutically effective. The diet that leads for the most longevity is more therapeutically effective to reverse disease and is also more effective for people trying to lose weight and maintain their ideal weight and not have it fluctuate or change. I'm saying I want weight consistency. I want you to get to your ideal weight and stay there. And I want you to modulate your calories and your exercise appropriately so you stay at your perfect weight. When you first start out doing this, you're going to go through detoxification and withdrawal from your diet, and you feel ill, mostly in the form of fatigue and shakes and headaches, but mostly fatigue. And fatigue should not be driving your decision to eat more food. And that's why we want to get people off caffeine and animal protein too, because they use those caffeine to get rid of the withdrawal so they take caffeine to stimulate their energy, right? So they don't have to get as much sleep. They use the caffeine instead of because they're feeling fatigued, they take it's used as a stimulant. We want people to get rid of this relationship with things that are toxic and addictive. We want to unmask all that and to enable you to feel your instincts and to feel your instinctive drives that drive you to the right amount of calories. Because true hunger is very instinctual, and you know exactly how much you feel like eating. You eat when you feel like eating, when you're hungry. And then when you don't have to eat till you're full, and you shouldn't be eating till you're full or uncomfortable. And then when you get hungry again, you can eat again. And when you instinctually eat, there'd be no such thing as any overweight person. When you're a brown belt, you're not doing this long enough. You got rid of your detoxification. You're not getting toxic hungry. You're not fatigued and shaky and weak and having headaches. You're not going through withdrawal. You didn't lose the emotional connection to these foods that got you in trouble. When a person quits cigarettes, they might be done with the withdrawal in 6 weeks, but they still are emotionally attached to cigarettes for probably the first 6 months or even longer. And there's still that emotional attachment to these foods. But once you do this long enough, then you get in touch with true hunger. You lose the emotional attachment. And after a year, when you're a black belt and you're at your ideal weight, you like these foods better. You've built up your taste muscle. You're eating mostly when you're hungry. You're feeling hunger regularly, because feeling hungry regularly makes you modulate your food, your intake. If you're never feeling hungry, you're chronically overeating. I know people say, I'm on this great diet, I'm losing weight, I'm never hungry. Well, if you're never hungry, you're chronically overeating. We want you to be hungry sometimes, right? To be able to show that you're not overeating all the time. So if I'm cutting my dinner back to the point where it's the right amount, I'll sometimes feel hungry when I wake up in the morning, or even before I go to bed at night, I'll start to feel hungry. And that lets me know that I didn't overeat that day because I have a little hunger at night before I go to bed at night. I undershot my calories just a touch. And you lose your emotional attachment to what were former comfort foods, and you don't even like the foods you thought you couldn't live without. It's your birthday. Go out and have some barbecued ribs or ice cream or apple or a cheesecake a la mode, but you taste this stuff and you tastes terrible. It's too heavily seasoned and it's greasy, and I can taste the bleach and the chemicals in the ice cream. It's so sweet. I don't even like things this sweet anymore. I'd rather have my healthy ice cream made from like frozen banana and mango and a little macadamia nut and with a little bit of real vanilla bean powder or something in there. Or I want my healthy dressings, and I don't want things seasoned this heavily, right? And then you're going to feel ill if you eat unhealthfully. You got this when you're a white belt, you feel ill when you eat healthfully. When you're a black belt, you feel great when you eat healthfully, and you feel ill when you eat unhealthfully. It's two different things. This change, though, is difficult for a lot of people, right? Losing weight steadily, continuing to get to your perfect weight is a very critical, what's the word? It's a critical and necessary action if you want excellent health. And you have to be determined, take the initiative, and like learning, right? Like reading books or coming to these lectures, taking the initiative. But then you have to do it. You have to set your mind to it. You have to do it. And you have to repeat every day the same thing over and over again until it becomes second nature. That's why we structure our diet here at the retreat. We give people like a breakfast with a couple of tablespoons of oats or grain and half a cup of berries and a tablespoon a tablespoon and a half or 2 tablespoons of raw seeds, and we put in some. So in other words, we make the breakfast similar so people can, a little tofu scramble or a little bit of that. Whatever they're having, they know that they had these breakfasts they can repeat when they go home. They know they can repeat the lunch. The same. They change the dressings. They change the type, but it's the same basic foods, the same basic dietary structure. They can repeat over and over again, because being a champion means you repeat and adhere to a course of action that works and is effective, right? You have that. So champions are prepared, have a good attitude, and prepared to work for results over time. And they realize it takes months and even years to achieve the result they're looking for. You can't get instantaneous results. Don't think you're going to maintain your ideal weight by going away to a health retreat for a couple of weeks and eat healthy for a week. Week or two, you're going to go back to your old diet again, and you're going to gain the weight back again. It's totally not worth anything. It takes time. It takes 2 to 3 months of steady persistence and adhering to the same course of action until your body, taste buds adapt, your digestive tract adapts to it, your mind adapts to it. You start to repair the damage in your brain. You have to be consistent in what you do. So a Nutritarian diet is scientifically designed to be maximally lifespan promoting. It's not like a blue zone. A blue zone diet's not scientifically designed. They're haphazardly designed, just in health areas of the world where people just are eating somewhat healthier than other areas of the world. But the blue zones only live on the average 8 years longer than the average standard American diet. They're not eating that great of a diet. A Nutritarian diet takes it to a complete different level. It's designed to maximally promote human lifespan to that 97 to 107 year bell-shaped curve, where even those people who are not as genetically gifted can live to over 95 years old in good health. And there's nothing biologically wrong with a person who puts on weight easier, right? Because it means they still can modulate the calories down and fix their metabolism. And in other words, if you are a person if your heritage and your genetics makes for you get less calories, makes you more overweight, another person, even the same amount of calories, might be thinner. There's nothing wrong with you. Living in primitive times, you have a slower metabolic rate, you'd live longer. You could survive and with less food. And now you have to survive with the right foods, with less food and you can still have a great healthy diet. So you modulate the amount of food you eat to achieve your perfect weight. So your food you eat might be less. You might need less calories than your neighbor than your neighbor does. I lecture to people and to physician and professional audiences that sometimes have 500 or 700 people in the audience, large audiences. And I say, raise your hand if you've been shot by a bullet or maybe stabbed by a knife in your torso or your neck. Raise your hand. And like one person raises their hand. I said, how about any neighbors or close friends or family who was shot by a bullet or raised by a knife? And hardly anybody or nobody raises their hand. Then I say to them, well, what about if you know anybody got cancer, a heart attack, or a stroke? Raise your hand. How about in your family or your close neighbors or closest friends? Like everybody's hand goes up. And I say, that's a neighborhood and that you want to stay living in a dangerous neighborhood where everybody around you is dropping dead needlessly and suffering and develops these and has a later life that turns into a medical tragedy? That doesn't have to be. Why would you want to get older and have your life fall apart with medical tragedies? Well, it doesn't have to. In other words, you don't have to be sick. You can control your health destiny. And I'm giving you the roadmap to do so. And a Nutritarian diet includes raw onions and scallions every day. It includes raw cruciferous greens, both raw and cooked every day, including lettuce, by the way. Lettuce is a rich source of sulfoquinidose. It's incredible for the good bacteria in the gut. And then you put raw cruciferous in that salad, like kale or bok choy or arugula or watercress. You have a combination of lettuce. And you have a salad dressing made not from oil and salt, but made with nuts and seeds. It could be like one of my dressings may be made with, a rich sun-dried tomato, roasted garlic tomato sauce mixed with almonds and black fig vinegar or something, or maybe an orange cashew sesame dressing made with lemon and blood orange vinegar or something. But then you have cooked vegetables too every day, including cooked mushrooms and variety of mushrooms and a variety of beans, including dried soybeans cooked into soups and stews and variety of different types of beans. We have an unprecedented opportunity in human history to eat a wide variety of foods, much more dramatic than the blue zones have ever done. We don't have to have we can have much higher expectations for excellent health. And I've seen that in the last 35 years of my medical practice, is people pushing that envelope of viewing longevity and living in great health to 100 years old. So take charge of your health destiny. And lots of this, in my most recent book, the book that has the most updated scientific references, is Eat for Life. It's the book to start with if you want to learn more about this program for sustained weight loss and optimal health and preventing and reversing disease. And of course, my retreat in San Diego is a lovely facility where people who just can't do it on their own, they want some extra, enforced abstinence from their addictive triggers, to really can do this program and learn how to replicate it and duplicate it when they go home. The whole purpose of this extended stay facility is so people learn how to do the program so they can replicate it effectively in their own home, because what you do temporarily is almost irrelevant.